Welcome to all the participants for the virtual CPE meeting on studying the growth of 5 most successful startups in India, Reliant India. We have with us today's resource person, C. Anshul Singha. He is a seasoned professional in corporate tax transfer pricing area with 16 years of experience, also working extensively with startups and advising them on business modeling, tax regulatory compliances, and fundraising. He has been there in tax consulting services, including compliance, advisory, and litigation support services to multinational clients, as well as startup. And that one is many of whom are Fortune 500 companies and leader in their respective industries. Have vast experience in FDI regulations in India and have assisted foreign clients in establishing subsidiaries, liaison offices, branch offices in India. Experience in supporting clients in developing and implementing transfer pricing strategy. Have been a faculty member at the Committee on International Taxations, advising and assisting startup and entity setup, business modeling, compliance management, fundraising, and other business aspects. Regular speaker on topic related to taxation and startup at ICA and other forums. He has contributed various articles on international taxation issues in various international journals. With this, we welcome to C. Anshul Kumar Singhal in this virtual CP meeting. And we are handing over this session to right now for further proceeding to CA Anshul Kumar Singhal.
Thank you, Sambhiji. Thank you for a wonderful introduction. And I thank you for organizing these seminars on startups, which help a lot to our fellow members in understanding and working and expanding their base into MSME and startup arena. Because today startups are the in thing. India has seen a major shift in the entrepreneurial culture, which we have seen in last 5 to 6 years. And would you believe that almost more than 30 startups have converted themselves have achieved the unicorn status. Unicorn status means who have achieved a valuation of $1 billion. So 30 startups in a year, which is just after the post-COVID year, the most worst affected economic period of our times. And we are seeing that the startups are just achieving newer and newer heights. So it's imperative that we keep on learning about the journey of these startups, how the founders started off, what was the kind of challenges they faced and where they have reached right now. So I will share the stories of 5 well-known startups which we all have seen growing in past 10 to 15 years in India. And obviously, to select top 5 to designate that these are only the top 5, probably that would not be the justice to our startup culture. But yes, I have tried to take out a few of them, which I feel have done very well in their field. So today we will be discussing Paytm, Flipkart, Oyo, Udaan, and Zomato. Almost everybody knows about Paytm, Flipkart, Oyo, and Zomato, but Udaan is into a B2B space and is a very robust startup in a B2B space. So it is an aggregator. So we'll talk about it more when we come, but just to give you a brief background, Udaan is the fastest unicorn of Indian startup scene. It achieved the unicorn status within just 24 or 26 months of its incorporation. So you can see that just within 2.25 years of their operations, they were at a valuation of $1 billion.
Speaker is joining in a short while because he is facing some technical issues. He is coming within 2 minutes.
Okay. So sorry everyone, my network just snapped somehow. I've rejoined now. So let's start with again the presentation. Let me share it with you. So I was discussing that probably it's very difficult to say that these are the only top 5 startups, and there are various parameters on which you can judge the top 5 startups. But I have tried to pick up these stories which we have all known, which are somewhere connected to us in our daily lives. And also I have picked up one startup which is Udan, which is into B2B space. So they are doing a wonderful job in connecting wholesalers and retailers and providing logistic supports to retailers in various remote towns and areas of the country where probably the big aggregators and the big retail suppliers are not available. So we'll talk about each one of them in detail. So let's start with Paytm. So how I have divided this journey is we will talk about little bit the journey of the founder. Then we'll talk about how they started, where they started, and what are their now current business models and what kind of business they are doing as of now. So this is how I have tried to devise the case study around. So first of all, Paytm was founded by Vijay Shekhar Sharma, a well-known face in the startup arena, a very renowned person. Paytm has kind of revolutionized the digital payments, which we have seen, and post demonetization phase, it has seen its business grow multi times. So Vijay Shekhar was born in Aligarh, a small town in Uttar Pradesh, on 7th June 1978. So he is below 45 years of age, and he was third children of the four children. His father, Solam Prakash, was a school teacher and Asha Sharma was a homemaker. So he had humble backgrounds, not belonging to a very well-to-do or a rich family. So he had a very humble background, starting from a suburban or a semi-urban kind of an area in Uttar Pradesh. He went on to do his Bachelor's of Engineering from Delhi College of Engineering, which is now called Delhi Technological University. He did his schooling from a Hindi medium school in Hardaganj, a small town near Aligarh. So not an English medium speaking person when he was growing up. So as I mentioned that he had very humble beginnings. In 1997, when he was still in college, he founded indiasite.net, which was a website dealing with information towards India. So mid 90s was the phase when internet was starting off, and in India there were a very few sites which we could call Indian sites. So obviously Yahoos and the Googles were still in making at that point of time. But yes, internet was something which had arrived. Naukri.com also started at that point of time only. So when he was in college, he was studying all these engineering and computer sciences. He started his own website, which was known as indiasite.net. And 2 years later, within 2 years, he could sell that venture for $1 million. So at that very young age, means in 1997, he started off, and probably in 1999, he sold that venture off for $1 million. And even if we consider the dollar rate, in INR versus dollar rate at that point of time, it would have translated into 3.5 crore rupees, which was a very significant amount of sum in late 90s when the dot-com burst had not happened. So if you would see now, indiasite.net is nowhere to be known. We don't know where it has went. But yes, that platform provided an opportunity for Vijay Shekhar Sharma to earn money, to get hold of that big startup boom, and he invested that money into his further ventures. Now currently he is ranked as, recently he was ranked as India's youngest billionaire in 2017 by Forbes India, with a net worth of $1.3 billion at that point of time, which is 4 years back. And probably we all know that now when the Paytm's IPO is coming in next month, which is almost more than 18,000 crore of an IPO, and the valuation which they are seeking is more than $25 billion, which is one of the largest private sector IPOs of India in the history. So the net worth of Vijay Shekhar Sharma would be much higher. In 2020, he was ranked 62nd richest person in India with a net worth of $2.35 billion according to Forbes. So we can see that business and entrepreneurship can take you places. That is what a person from a humble background, from a small town of India in Uttar Pradesh, can go and become the youngest billionaire of India, right? So that is what the power of entrepreneurship is. Now, coming on to the journey of Paytm. After 1999, when he sold indiasite.net, immediately after 1 year or some months in 2000, Vijay started 197 Communications, which you would see if you see the bills of Paytm or Paytm Mall, you can still find 197 Communications written on as an entity. So this was the entity which was formed in 2000. And at that point of time, what they were doing, they were just offering mobile content, including news, cricket scores, ringtones, download and jokes and exam results. So if you would remember in late 1990s or early 2000s, the exam results of 10th and 12th started to come on internet. Right. So I passed out of my school in 2000. So I remember that was the first year when the result was declared online. The CBSE result was declared online. So that is when the internet was picking up its pace. And Vijay Shekhar at that point of time grabbed that opportunity and tried to provide platform which could give you news about in cricket, jokes, and most importantly, exam results, because exam results is something which every student is very eager to know. And if it can be brought to the the homes of the persons. At that point of time, it was cyber cafe. So in the cyber cafes, there used to be a line for students who used to go to the cyber cafe and get their results downloaded, but they didn't have to travel to their schools. So that is how it built up. It started its journey. In August 2010, it was founded with an initial investment of $2 million by its founder, Vijay Shekhar Sharma. So if you would see that within 10 years, he was able to invest $2 million, which would be around 8 to 10 crore rupees at that point of time, in Paytm. So 197 communication was started in 2000, whereas Paytm, the digital payments thing, was started after 10 years of the operations of 197 communications. So Paytm started off in August 2010 with an initial investment of $2 million, which was the kind of money which he needed to start off this platform. It started off with mobile DTH, mobile prepaid payments, DTH recharge platform, and later on added data card, postpaid mobile, and landline bill payments in 2013. So if you would see again, prepaid mobile and DTH recharge platform, again in 2010, these were those services which had not yet picked up but were in the process of being the big thing now. So in early 2000s and mid 2000s, the mobile was a luxury. It was not a necessity people used to have. Above upper middle class kind of people used to have. But yes, then after these rates were slashed and prepaid mobile telephony became much and much more cheaper, he picked up that domain that yes, this is going to be the next thing. And he started a platform that yes, you can just go to my website and make your recharge. Otherwise, people had to go to a shop owner, a mobile distributor, or a kirana store to get their prepaid mobile recharged. They used to have pay to the shopkeeper, and they will do some coding or do some messaging, and a recharge code will come. But he brought that onto a website, right? So people did not have to go to shops or any other physical outlet. They can just do it from the comfort of their homes. And in fact, DTH was a service also which was picking up. Cable TV was little bit on a decline, not full-fledged, but yes, Videocon, DTH, and so many other DTH service, Airtel, Tata Sky, these were coming up. They had not picked up, but they were coming up. And that is the thing which he realized at the very early stage, engaged, and therefore started the platform. And in 2013, he also added data card. If you remember, the Tata Docomo data card used to be a very popular form of internet thing before Wi-Fi triggered in at a massive pace. So if we have to get internet on our laptops, on the go, on a run, so data cards was something which used to come very handy. And almost every corporate house used to provide senior management people with the data cards. So data card recharge came in, postpaid mobile recharge came in, landline bill payments came in 2013. So that is how they went on. By 2014, the company had launched Paytm Wallet. Now, Paytm Wallet was something that it is an e-wallet. The money is in your phone. You don't need a debit card. You don't need a credit card. Your mobile phone itself is a payment instrument. So, and they did the tie-up with, first of all, with the Indian Railways and Uber. Uber at that point was very new in India. And people who were using cab riding, they were just putting the money in Paytm and they didn't have to pay cash. The Uber rider will get the money from the Paytm directly. And you remember Paytm Karo was the marquee ad, which we just can't forget, that how they imbibed the habit of doing Paytm at every shop, at every any kind of payment which you have to do, you just Paytm Karo was the iconic tagline which they came up with. So once the Indian Railways, as we know, is the largest carrier. They have the largest volume. People, if they had to do it, it gave them instant recognition. Means if a person is traveling with Indian Railways and you can book tickets through using Paytm, then it was nothing like it. It was convenience at the fingertips. So that is how it gained recognition. Uber was also in the big cities. It gave recognition to Paytm, and the Paytm Wallet kind of replaced the debit cards and the credit cards to some extent at that point of time. And obviously, post demonetization, it just flew off. Then it launched into e-commerce with online deals and bus ticketing. In 2015, it added education fees, metro charges, electricity payments, gas, water bill payments, and so many other things. Now, if you would see, there are plethora of items which you can pay. You can even transfer money from one bank account to another bank account using UPI. So they have kept on adding. So they are not just stuck to what they were doing 10 years ago. They have realized what is the need of the hour, where the direction of a business is going on, what are the needs of their customers, and they have kept on evolving with time. In 2016, it launched movies, events, amusement park ticketing, as well with flight bookings and Paytm QR. So the QR code, you can just on the shops, they pasted QR codes, so people do not have to take your mobile number, don't have to type anything. They can just open up their camera, scan the QR code, and the payment will be transferred to the desired person. So that is how the technology also evolved. And then they also brought in rail booking on their own platform. So earlier it was just a Paytm wallet which was being used for booking, but now they became the broker also for booking the tickets. And they brought in gift card just like any other e-commerce platform, and they brought in Paytm Mall also. They went into an aggregator model when they were selling the goods from their own platform. So you can see that how much the journey transformed their business. They just started from a news information kind of a platform in 2000, added Paytm business in them in 2010 with an initial investment of $2 million, then added Paytm prepaid, right? Uber, Indian Railways, mall, aggregator services, everything, electricity. Now, whatever you have to do with payments, you can do just with Paytm. Then Paytm's register base today grew from 11.8 million, which is almost 1 crore 18 lakh users in August 2014 to 104 million in August 15. So you can see the jump was almost 9 times, no, more than 9 times of a jump, right? Within a span of 1 year. Its travel business crossed $500 million in annualized gross merchandise value run rate, with 2 million tickets booked per month. In 2017, it became India's first Paytm app to cross over 100 million app downloads. In the same year, it launched Paytm Gold also. So now you see the journey where they are going. Once they have got into the mobile of almost every Indian, right, to say so, the people who are well-to-do and who can use the app, almost everyone now has Paytm in their mobile. So they are adding up whatever they can. So they started selling gold also as a product. They allowed users to buy as little as 1 rupee worth of pure gold online. They don't have to deliver it. They have to just probably keep stock with themselves, because if somebody wants a delivery at a later point of time, they can have. But this is all digital gold which they are selling, right? It launched Paytm's bank. Now they've taken bank license also in a relatively smaller format, but yes, now they are a payments bank. It's not a full-fledged bank which can take deposits, but relatively different variant of a bank, which is called Paytm bank, just like Airtel Paytm payment banks. And they started an inbox, by the term of inbox, a messaging platform with in-chat payments. So they started off with something similar to WhatsApp. Probably it didn't fly that much, but yes, they had almost they had covered every aspect of business. By 2018, started allowing merchants to accept Paytm, UPI, and card payments directly into their bank accounts at 0% charge. So earlier, Paytm was earning a commission. So whenever we used to, as a customer, we used to make a payment to a merchant. Whenever merchant had to transfer that money into their bank account, Paytm would charge almost 3 to 4% of a commission, which was a very huge commission. But yes, because the payment was easy, because the users had ease of making the payment, because customers were not handling cash, very often they did not have to use people or resources to go and handle cash and deposit into their bank account. So that's the kind of convenient fees they were ready to pay. But over a period of time, it became burden, and now they started to offer it for free because they had added enough other services for charging from the customers, which can generate enough revenues so as to compensate the 0% commission on the direct transfer to bank accounts. Now it also launched Paytm for Business app, now which is called Business with Paytm app on the Play Store and iOS, which allowed merchants to track their payments and day-to-day settlements. So if you are on a credit kind of a business model wherein you have to provide certain credit, or even if you are just recording the payments, this particular app provides much more detail and insights into the payments received and what are the kind of settlements which they are having. So it provides much more insights into the revenues of merchants. So this is now Paytm for Business app. So this is also a business model which has evolved. Then it launched 2 new wealth management products also, Paytm Gold Saving Plan and Gold Gifting for long-term savings. So in gold also, they have expanded just not from selling gold, but to selling saving plans. In January 2018, it entered into joint venture with Alibaba Group owned company AG Tech Holdings to launch GamePint, a mobile gaming platform. So you can see the journey again, moving into gaming business in 2018 when it was just picking up. E-gaming had not picked up at that point of time. Dream 11 and My Game, My Dream 11 and everything, they were coming up. In lockdown, probably the e-gaming companies have made a very big leap of faith and they have grown at a very fast pace. But in 2018, Paytm also realized that this is going to be one of the future businesses which they want to be in. And they rebranded it as Paytm First Games in 2019, in June 2019. And if you remember that Sachin Tendulkar is one of their brand ambassadors. So they started off advertising with Sachin Tendulkar. So Paytm First Games is also now in its evolving stage. They are offering various games where we can say that people have to put in money to play and the winner generally takes away the winning amount. So then in 2018 also they launched Paytm Money. It is a kind of wealth management app which provides you a lot of information about stocks and mutual funds, and it allows you also to invest in stocks and mutual funds through this app. So you can log into Paytm Money just by your Paytm account, login credentials. You have to create another passcode into Paytm Wealth, but it works absolutely similar to any kind of brokerage app. So they are now a broker also, a share broker also with Paytm Money. They are not the leaders of share broking business, but yes, they have added this feature, and the candle charts or the line charts or the research which you can have on the technical charts of a particular stock, they are offering everything. In March 2019, the firm launched a subscription-based loyalty program called Paytm First. So it is somewhere, if you can say, related or a kind of reference from Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime also is a subscription-based model wherein you pay a certain amount and you get certain priority facilities. Similar to that, Paytm First is a loyalty program wherein you get certain priority features available. There is a fee which you need to pay. Then it had partnered with Citibank also to launch Paytm First credit card, which is touted or which is considered to be a premium card to have. Then in July 2020, which was actually the peak of COVID time in last year, when they partnered with Starbucks, allowing its customer to order food online during COVID-19 pandemic. So Starbucks, people were missing going out, people were missing to have food outside, so they could get snacks or food items or coffee from Starbucks, and they said that we will provide you in a hygienic way, contactless kind of a delivery, which was also one tagline picked up by Zomato, that it is a contactless delivery. So in 2020, they also moved into food delivery space, right? As of September 2021, the company aims to, it is October 2021, the company aims to bring an IPO with a valuation of more than 25 billion. And now they have got the approval also, which is coming next month. The IPO will be launched next month, and almost 18,300 crore rupees are being raised through this IPO. It is the largest IPO which India would see. So what is the funding and shareholding structure as on date? As of the public information which is available, Vijay Shekhar owns almost 14.67%. The Ant Group, which is a Jack Ma's group of Alibaba, their investment arm, Ant Group owns more, almost close to 30% of the shareholding. SoftBank, which is a Japanese group, right? So they own almost close to 20%. Then SAF Partners almost 18%, AGH Group 7%, Berkshire Hathaway also owns 2.76%, and Sharma Holding Company owns 5%. So Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who is the promoter, owns almost 20% of the group. The strategic investors own almost 80%. So this also shows that once you have to be an owner of a startup which has to grow at a very fast pace and has to take strategic investments at a very regular interface, probably the entrepreneur or the startup owner has to be ready to dilute his stake to a great extent. But yes, the timing of it has to matter a lot. The founder cannot dilute too much in the very early stages of funding. They have to keep a good kind of holding for later stage, because generally whenever the dilution happens, it happens from the founders' shares. Generally, the strategic shareholders will not dilute, they will either sell off or they'll keep on increasing their stake. So the dilution generally happens from the owners or the founders' stake. So that's why we generally say that whenever you are taking investment in early rounds, in kind of seed capital fund round or an angel round or a pre-series A round, the shareholders, the founders of the startup should not dilute too much. Probably they should keep on holding at least 50 to 60% or more than that, 60 to 65% of the shareholding till the series A round comes into picture. Right. So what is the current business? The current business, 197 Communications Limited, which is the Paytm brand, Paytm, which is the parent company which owns the brand of Paytm. It saw its consolidated revenues shrink by 11% to 3,186 crore rupees in financial year 2021, as compared to the 3,500 crores almost odd rupees in financial year 20. And obviously, we can see that there was an impact of COVID in this financial year. With a drop in revenues due to pandemic, the company also cut losses. So even though there was reduction in the revenue, they reduced and curtailed their costs also to a greater extent. They reduced their losses by 42%, and their losses were 1,700 crores in fiscal year ending March 2021 on a consolidated basis, whereas their consolidated losses in the immediately preceding financial year of March 20 were almost close to 3,000 crore rupees. So if you would see here, the revenues were 3,500 crores and the losses were 2,900 crores almost, right? So you can see that they were almost incurring losses of 75% to 80%, which is a huge amount, almost 80% of losses. even then, if you would see, the valuation of the company is $25 billion, more than $25 billion. So the traditions have changed. Earlier, whenever we used to have a look at the financial statements or the stock price of a company, probably we always used to look at what is the EBITDA, what are their revenue, earning forecast, how much profits they will make. But now with these new age startups coming into picture, Paytms and the Zomatos of the world, when they are listing in stock markets, they are giving clear-cut guidance in even the prospectus that we are not going to make profits even in next few years. And still the valuation is soaring sky high. So that is what the confidence of investors portray, that yes, they are willing to invest at such high valuation because they have confidence that even if they are not earning profits now, they are going to be the money churners of the future. They are going to have their foot down, or they have such deep roots in the business and in the economy that nobody else would be able to make the kind of profits which they are making, which they are not making right now. So if you would see in Facebook or in Alibaba, they're all profit making. In Facebook now, last year probably their revenues were somewhere around $85 billion and their profit was $32 billion. So almost a profit margin of more than 35%. So that is the kind of confidence they have, the investors have, that these kind of startups in India also have the potential to showcase such kind of revenue earnings and the profit earnings at a later point of time, and therefore they're willing to pay such high valuations. So as of now, Paytm, I've listed down the major revenue sources of Paytm. Paytm Wallet, recharge services, they still have the recharge bill, electricity, postpaid, everything they are available on their platform. Then bill payments, ticket bookings, digital gold, coupon codes and voucher codes. Then Paytm gateway solutions. If you would see now, they are similar to the Paytm banks because they are now a Paytm bank also. So you can get their user interface interlinked with your website, and whenever somebody comes and pays on your website, they can pay through Paytm. So that is the interface. Even though they are paying through somebody else, through some credit card, debit card, but the interface is of Paytm. So they earn certain commission on what each transaction which is happening through their channel. Then they are into Paytm Bank also. Paytm has made again, they have also invested, they have acquired many businesses to grow their business interest. In 2013, Paytm acquired Plus Text under $2 million that allowed fast text messaging. As I mentioned that they had started Inbox, a messaging app. So in order to boost that particular business, they had acquired Plus Text. In 2015, they invested $5 million in auto rickshaw aggregator and hyper local delivery firm called Jugnu. It also acquired Delhi-based consumer behavior prediction platform Shifu and local services startup Near.in. So it's different from company Little and Nearby. They have also acquired these two startups and merged them. So what they provide is they are providing coupons for you to go for any services, saloon services, spa, and so many other services at a very discounted price, and you can encash those coupons at the outlets. Right? So these are the kind of services, and Shifu is somewhere related to AI, artificial intelligence, where they are analyzing lots and lots of data about consumer behavior, and so that they can predict what is going to come forth, what is next, right? So where the trend is going, what would sell, what would not sell in future. So that is how they are also expanding in artificial intelligence and utilizing those technologies in order to make their apps more robust. In 2016, it invested in logistics startups called Loginext and ExpressBees. ExpressBees, you would have seen a lot of people, the person who carries on goods and delivers you, they generally keep on having the bags of ExpressBees. So they have ramped up. They are doing all kinds of horizontal and vertical integration into their own business. In April 2017, it invested in healthcare startup QL, which uses artificial intelligence and big data to assist medical care. Again, this was to predict consumer behavior. This is to predict medical healthcare, what kind of medical ailments can come in for a particular person, and so that they can be treated in advance, or they can be kept ready for those kind of medical assistance, or even if certain person has developed certain ailment, how they can be cured. So all that is being now driven, or probably willing to be driven through artificial intelligence. Again, in July 2017, it acquired a majority stake in online ticketing and events platform Insider.in, backed by event management company Only Much Louder, OML, and they also brought in a mobile loyalty startup called MobiQuest. So you would see that they are not just growing through their own means organically, they are also growing through acquisitions, mergers, through acquiring technologies which have been developed by somebody else. So yes, Paytm is now a conglomerate. Basically, they have got lots and lots of businesses in themselves in one super app kind of a thing. If you would have heard, now Adani Group is also looking into creating a super app which will have all kind of services within itself. So probably that is the future which we are seeing 5 years or 6 years down the line, when we will have just one app offering almost every kind of service or providing every kind of goods and deliveries which you can think of. So that is where we are leading towards, to the super app kind of a feature, wherein we'll not have to have hundreds of apps in our mobile. We'll have just one app or two apps which can provide us the entire services under the umbrella. So that is what the journey of Paytm was. Now let's move on to Flipkart. Flipkart is also an interesting journey. There are two founders, both having origins in Chandigarh, both sharing their surnames Bansal, Sachin Bunsen and Binny Bansal, and for obvious reason, because they belong to Chandigarh and they have their surname as same, most of the people confuse that they are real brothers or cousin brothers or somewhere related, but they don't have any kind of family linkages. They just happen to share their surname, and they met in Amazon. So just like Amazon started by selling books, Sachin and Binny also started off selling books. Flipkart was started once they left Amazon. So they were employees of Amazon, and then they went on to start up their own business by the name of Flipkart. Sachin Bansal was born in Chandigarh in 1981, so he's just 40 years. His father is a businessman and mother a homemaker. Bansal is an IIT alumni, IIT Delhi alumni, completed a degree in computer engineering in 2005. And coincidentally, Binny Bansal also, after doing his schooling from Chandigarh, he also went on to pass IIT Delhi. He is also the alumni of IIT Delhi. Although they didn't meet at college, that's what we understand from public knowledge and the public information which is available. But they met at Amazon, where they were colleagues. Binny now has moved to Bangalore. His father is a retired chief manager at a bank, and his mother is in government sector still. Right. So this is the brief background of the founders. In October 2017, Sachin and Binny started an online bookstore by the name of Flipkart with an initial capital of 4 lakh rupees, which was a kind of humble investment at that point of time. They first started off from an apartment in Koramangalam, Bangalore. And it said that when they started off their online venture, they used to themselves deliver the books to various places in Bangalore. So generally, it means at the initial stages, they just started off with catering to customers from Bangalore and nearby region itself. and they used to deliver the books by themselves, right? So, but they grew very fast. They were very focused. The company initially focused on online book sales with countrywide shipping, and Flipkart slowly grew in prominence and was receiving 100 orders per day by 2008. So you can see they started off in October 2007, but within just 1 year, they had reached a stage of 100 bookings per day. In 2010, Flipkart acquired Bangalore-based social book discovery service VRead from Lulu.com. Lulu Group is a very big group of Dubai. They are very big in retail outlets, malls, and real estate also. So from them, they acquired VRead, which was a social book discovery service in 2010. In 2011, Flipkart acquired digital distribution business Mime360.com and digital content library of Bollywood portal Chapak. So Chapak was a media content kind of a company. So this is kind of Flipkart tracks its path on a very similar line as the Amazon did. So Amazon, Jeff Bezos also started off with a online book portal. Amazon used to at initial stages deliver only books. Then Amazon also launched themselves into media. They also started off having songs and some media content on their platform. And in the very initial days of Netflix, Jeff Bezos had offered to buy out Netflix for Amazon. So, but the founders of Netflix refused that deal probably at that point of time, and now Netflix is one of the very big media startups in its own space. So Flipkart also tracked a similar kind of line similar to Amazon, and they also ventured out in music in 2011 with Chapak. With its eye on India's retail market, Flipkart acquired Let's Buy, an online electronics retailer, in 2012, and Myntra, an online fashion retailer, which we all know the Myntra brand still exists. Probably all other brands have faded into oblivion. They have their own existence, but obviously not selling like a big brand. But Myntra still holds good. Flipkart has kept the fashion business out in Myntra. They have not merged it with their own brand, and probably they are more focused on electronics and certain other physical goods in Flipkart. Right. So in 2016, they also had acquired Jabong. Jabong was also at that point of time a very prominent name in e-commerce aggregator format. And Flipkart was also almost in final deals to acquire Snapdeal, but the deal didn't go through at that point of time. And now we can see Snapdeal is existing, but not at that big scale, which it could have been had it merged with Flipkart. So obviously in startup space, one can say that there is luck, which also plays a key role many a times. In Netflix, they refused to be bought by Amazon, and then now they are themselves a very big startup. But whereas Snapdeal refused to be bought by Flipkart, but it's not that prominent force as it used to be 4 or 5 years down the line, 4 or 5 years back. So these are all certain stories which go down in the books, but when it is happening, nobody can see what is going to happen in future. So Jabong was a Delhi NCR based startup which was bought, and they also bought UPI mobile payments startup PhonePe, which is also one of the largest UPI and Paytm platform in India. So now PhonePe is owned by Flipkart. Further, on May 2018, it was reported that US retail chain Walmart, we know that these Walmart had offered to buy. At that point of time, there was a big tussle going on between Amazon and Walmart to buy Flipkart. But for certain reasons, there was, I think, there were news reports, nobody confirmed it, but there were news reports that Sachin Bunsen wanted to sell the company to Amazon, whereas Binny Bansal wanted to sell it to Walmart. And there were differences at that point of time. And finally, Walmart came out as successful bidder. And on May 2018, Walmart officially announced its intent to acquire 77%. So as of now, also Walmart is not the 100% owner. Obviously, there are certain strategic investors which are still invested in the company, and they acquired this 77% stake at a value of $16 billion. So the 77% stake was worth of 16 billion. So 100% was much more. So it was almost more than $20 billion at that point of time. And there are news buzz which is there that Flipkart will also be coming into IPO mode very soon. So the acquisition was completed on 18th of August 2018, almost 3 years back. Walmart provided $2 billion of cash in equity funding to the company so that it can now ramp up its operations much more. And Sachin Bansal had left the organization as soon as the acquisition completed by Walmart. And on November 13th, 2018, which was almost just 3 months later, Flipkart, at that time present CEO Binny Bansal also resigned after facing allegations of serious personal misconduct. There were certain allegations in the past from a colleague against Binny Bansal which had been dumped in the papers or in the files, but it was said in the grapevine, it was said that Walmart wanted Binny to be out, and therefore they just dug up certain files and brought up an issue which had already died. And they created a scene out of it. And they said that this is a serious personal misconduct which Binny was responsible for, and he had to resign. That is what the news and the public information says. Now, at this present times, Flipkart is not having any role of Binny Bansal and Sachin Bansal, which were the original founders. It is now all fully controlled by Walmart with more than 77% stake in it, with every decision in the every person who is being in the company appointed by the management of Walmart and being controlled thereof. Now, Flipkart Wholesale recently launched a digital platform for Kiranas and MSMEs on similar lines of Reliance Jio, which are kind of creating smaller hubs of Kiranas and MSMEs who can just be providing their goods and services from their Flipkart local kind of platform. So you don't need a Flipkart delivering you goods from a very remote location somewhere in Bangalore or somewhere else from a warehouse. So what they are trying to do through technology is that wherever you are sitting, from a radius of say 4 to 5 kilometers, they will try to find out Kirana stores who can deliver me the goods which I require. And that is how the other grofers and other big baskets are also doing that. They are providing goods at a very fast pace. They are now saying that we will deliver you your daily needs within 15 minutes or within half an hour of your booking. So that is something which Flipkart also wants to achieve, but they don't want their own warehouses to be at every nook and corner of the country. So they are similar on the lines of Reliance Jio. They are tying up with Kirana stores and MSMEs. In October 2020, Flipkart acquired 7.8% stake in Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail for a value of $204 million. So if you can see that they started off with book delivery, then they moved on to media with Bollywood song library, then they moved on to electronics with certain acquisitions, then they moved on to fashion and retail with acquisition of Myntra and Jabong, and now they have sold off the business to a foreign company. So they, from being a very small, just one item being sold from their platform, now they kind of sell almost everything. They have become an aggregator of most of the items which we need on our day-to-day requirements. So that is how their journey has been. As of now, you can see that these are the kind of brands which they own. They also acquired the business of eBay India. This was Map My India, because ultimately they need map. They can't just go on and paying royalty to Google Maps. Probably they do, but they wanted to boost up their own space also. Map My, then Phone Pay, then this is Chapak, which we just mentioned. Live.ai, We Read Book, purchased from Lulu.com. Then Walmart India is also now the brand of Flipkart, because that is a group company of Walmart. Myntra is there. Then Upstream Commerce, Mime 360, Let's Buy. It was in the electronics space. So these are the kind of brands which are now owned by Flipkart and under this umbrella. Flipkart business model revolves around e-commerce website operating on a B2C basis. It is predominantly still an e-commerce aggregator. As of now, it sells over 100 million products, dealing in over 80 plus categories with user base of around 180 million. So 180 million means almost 18 crore people are using Flipkart in India. The predominant source of revenue for Flipkart is commission from transactions between sellers and buyers on the e-commerce platform. And Flipkart's wholesale arm, Flipkart India Private Limited, which generally is just like Cloudtail for Amazon, it reported 12% increase in its revenue in FY20. The data as of now, which is available in public domain, pertains to only FY20, because they have not come out with red herring prospectus for IPOs and everything. So for 21, the filings on ROC and everything is still to be done. So the data available is of financial year 20. It was up as compared to 30,000 crore rupees in the immediately last financial year. However, its losses also decreased 18% to 3,000 crores from 3,835 crores in the past. So if you would see that the revenue is very high, right? Whereas the percentage of losses as compared to the revenues is almost around 10 to 12%. Whereas if you would remember in Paytm, the percentage of losses as compared to the revenue, they are only in the revenue field of somewhere around 3,000 crore, 3,500 crore, whereas they are in the revenue of 34,000 crores already, right? And their profits and losses, their losses are also minuscule as compared to the percentage, means if it calculate in percentage terms, right? So this is it, the journey of Flipkart. Diversified business as on date. They are not singular business, predominantly B2C e-commerce. They are analyzing their data, the needs of the customer, diversifying with different kinds of services and products which they can provide on their platform, and also opening up different entities for wholesale, retail, wholesale selling and retail selling, obviously because of the FDI regulations they can't do. But yes, and as an e-commerce platform owner, they are doing a diversified kind of things so as to sustain the revenues which they have. Now let's move on to the next startup, which is Oyo. Oyo was started by Ritesh Agrawal. He also had very, very humble beginning in Cuttack, Bisam Cuttack, a town of Odisha. He was brought up in Titligarh. So this is where he was born and brought up. Ritesh comes from a family that used to run a small shop in southern Odisha. At the age of 13, he started selling SIM cards. So he is also very young, and if you can see, the entrepreneurial zeal comes at a very young age, generally. It's not a restriction. Nobody can say that if you didn't show entrepreneurial zeal in your childhood, you cannot become an entrepreneur. It doesn't happen like this, but yes, obviously, if this is shown in very early days, then it works well. He graduated from St. John's Senior Secondary School and moved to Delhi in 2011 for his college. So if you can see, just 10 years back, he was a college student. He was just joining in college at that point of time. He dropped out of college and was selected for Thiel Fellowship in 2013. So Thiel Fellowship is a program run by one of the leading startup owners, Thiel, who has created and who had given donations or fellowship mentorship to many other companies. And Facebook is also one of his, what I can say, his early days picks. Means Facebook, when it was very early in its startup stage, Thiel was one of the person who had provided mentorship and provided certain funding as at the very early stage. So he was selected for Thiel Foundation Fellowship in 2013. Agarwal is also a recipient of Business World Young Entrepreneur Award. So not too much of information is available about Ritesh Agarwal in public domain. That is something which I could find out from my search. And all we know about the story that he went to Shimla for some vacation and he could not find a good hotel to stay for himself. And probably he had to sleep on road or somewhere outside, means he didn't get a room there. So he thought about that, what if I could start an app so that people don't have to run from one hotel to another to find a room. They can just get it on their mobile, because in 2011-12 kind of a scene, the internet on mobile had picked up. So people could do things on internet using their mobile itself. And the app culture was growing. So he thought that why should I not bring in these small hotels on my platform so that people can just download an app and find out which hotel has a space, and then they can also see the prices which they are available at and directly go to that place rather than taking the luggage and going from one hotel to the another and searching for a room. So that is how it started. And many people also say that the idea had somehow also traveled from Airbnb, which was also in very initial stages of its startup, but it had grown and it had gained certain prominence in US markets as a bread and breakfast kind of service provider, wherein they also had an app which helped people to find out spaces. So this is a small background about the journey of Ritesh Agarwal. In 2012, Ritesh started O-Revel Stays to enable listing and bookings of budget accommodations. He renamed the firm to Oyo in 2013. So shortly after launching O-Revel Stays, Ritesh also received a grant of $100,000, which is 1 lakh rupees from Thiel Fellowship, a 2-year program from PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel. And Oyo so far has raised almost close to $4 billion from 26 investors over a period of last 7 years. Oyo has recently filed for an IPO of 8,430 crore, which is $1.2 billion on IPO. The offer will include a primary component, which will include an issue of fresh shares, means the fresh capital will be raised by the company of around 7,000 crore rupees, whereas the existing shareholders, and out of which majority is being sold by SoftBank. So they are also offering their own shares, and 1,400 crore, almost 1,430 crore rupees will go to the existing shareholders who will be selling their present stake. According to the DRHP filed with market regulator, founder Ritesh Agarwal holds 8.2% stake, and RA Hospitality, which is Ritesh Agarwal Hospitality, owned by him, holds 24.94% shares. So in totality, if you would see, still holds almost 32% or more than 33% of stake still in the company. And SoftBank holds the highest number of shares with 46%. So the predominantly 2 shareholders, Ritesh Agarwal and his own companies, and SoftBank holds almost more than 75% of the shares of this particular company. So they have raised multiple rounds of funding, but the majority and the predominant funding has been made by SoftBank. Now, what was the journey? Probably in first 2 to 3 years, they were just ramping up the number of hotels which they could list on their platform. They were marketing, advertising, and obviously they had gained pace. People had started OYO as one of the preferred booking for booking budget hotels. And in 2016, they acquired a team of Quill Pass, founded by Rahul Gupta and Rishi Swami, to set up and lead its data science department. And as Mukesh Ambani said, the data is the new oil. Everybody as on date is trying to mine data. And whosoever is succeeding in mining the data and data analytics, they are growing at a real fast pace. So data is something which is gold mine as of now, and people who are developing AI technologies, who are developing analytics tools around utilizing the kind of data, the bulk of data which is being generated on a minute-to-minute basis, not even a day-to-day basis. On a minute-to-minute basis, the kind of data which is being generated by use of so many apps which we have on our mobiles, people need such kind of data to be mined and to be presented in such a way which is useful to business owners. So this is the data science department which they acquired in 2016. In March 2018, OYO acquired Chennai-based service apartment operator Nova Scotia Boutique Homes, marking its first major buyout as well as establishing its presence in service apartment and corporate executive stay. Now, what is this kind of stay is that earlier you used to have hostels. Probably now hostels is not upscale, which we see. There are a lot of high-end corporate executives who are staying out of their homes for projects, for certain deputations, for 1 year or 2 years, and they don't want to live in certain hostels or they don't want to rent out. They want serviced apartments, kind of which provide a luxurious feel in themselves, or basically even if not luxurious, but certain kind of premium. Not just mom and shop hostel which is there and which you can just go and live in a bedroom. So they are just transforming that space. There are a lot of new startups like Oxford Cap, Stanza Living. There are so many in co-living space which they are having. So Nova Scotia Boutique Homes is also a similar kind of service apartment which they are providing, but they are expanding in hospitality business. Then in 2018 itself, they acquired Weddings.in, a Mumbai-based online marketplace for wedding venues and vendors, marking its entry into fragmented 40 billion wedding industry. If you would say, we all say the fat Indian fat wedding. Why? Because their spending is huge in India on weddings. And whenever you have guests coming around, you need people to stay and feel, honored and feel pampered with the hospitality which you are rendering on them. So Weddings.in is a boutique kind of a platform which provides you niche areas for conducting wedding ceremonies and provides venue bookings and provides other vendors in order to make up for your event. So that is somewhere they entered into another hospitality business, which is around weddings, but it still has a part of booking venues in it. In March 2019, OYO announced 1,400 crore rupees of investments in India and Southeast Asia business. They have expanded into multiple jurisdictions. They are not just limited to India now. In 2019, because ultimately when you are in hospitality business, you just don't want to have hotels, spaces just of India. You want that people who are having OYO on their mobile app, if they are going abroad, they can still book their hotels and in those jurisdictions also. So to have much more strength in those overseas locations, they have expanded in South Asia business, and to our knowledge, they have also expanded in Americas and China. So in 2019, May 2019, OYO announced the acquisition of Amsterdam-based Leisure Group, which is Europe's largest vacation rental company. In July 2019, OYO announced the acquisition of Innovate. In August 2019, OYO made its first major investment in United States by purchasing Hooters Casino Hotel. It is in Las Vegas, in partnership with US-based real estate company Highgate for $135 million. So Innovate is a co-working space wherein people can just come. It's a plug and play kind of a situation where there are seats, there are furniture, internet, AC, electricity, Wi-Fi, everything is provided in-house by the co-working space provider. You just need to go with your laptops or your files and go and sit there and work and come back. So you don't need to set up your own office. You can either take a seat on rent, you can either take a cabin on rent, or you can take certain part of the premises also on rent. So Innovate is one of the leading co-working space providers in India, and it is a Delhi-based startup which has been now acquired by Oyo. And so if you would see that they are acquiring, Oyo is acquiring, but is acquiring those businesses which are close to itself. Hospitality, co-working, rental, premises, weddings, right? So these are not too far away from their business of hotel renting. And even though when they are acquiring hotels abroad, they are into hospitality business itself. So there was Paytm, which expanded almost in every field they could. They're selling Paytm's banks, gold, wealth management, that had all to do with money, right? So this is something that one has to find a gel between their existing business and the new business which they are going into. So one cannot just expand without thinking that this is a good business, we can expand into it. So we have to see how we need to go about it. Oyo started off through listing out hotels on their mobile app, and they are now gradually expanding into different kind of fields which are related to the hospitality business. In 2019, Oyo registered a revenue of $915 million, which is almost 4.5 time increase on year-on-year basis as compared to $211 million in the earlier year. $915 million at those point of time would almost roughly estimate to 6,000 crore rupees of revenue. And obviously, Oyo is in losses. They are not making profits as of now. So Oyo Rooms and Oyo Hotels, Oyo Homes has a multi-brand approach right now, and they own Oyo Townhouse, which is promoted as neighborhood hotel, mid-scale segment targeted at millennial travelers who are travelers on the go and young people. So they have a certain kind of taste which they can have. So Oyo Townhouse is for them. Oyo Home, which Oyo claims India's maiden home management system that offers private homes in different locations and are fully managed by Oyo. So this is kind of a service department wherein high-paid executives or people who don't want to live and manage their own lives, they want to be placed or put up in a service department. So Oyo Home is for them. Oyo Vacation Homes, which identifies itself as the world's third largest vacation home brand with vacation rental management brands, Belvilla, Danland, Dan Center, along with the German-based Torum Frankfurt. So Vacation Homes is obviously providing vacation homes, not hotels. So the villas, some similar to kind of Airbnb kind of thing. Then Silver Key, launched in April 2018, caters to the needs of corporate travelers undertaking business trips for a short and long duration. Capital O offers hotel booking services, which is similar to Oyo. Pellet offers curated staycation for those in search of intuitive experience at competitive prices, and upper end leisure resorts category. So they are categorizing their services into certain brands. So one is a budget hotel kind of a thing, which is Oyo, which is generic. But if you want certain specific services, there is Townhouse, there is Home, Vacation Homes, then Pellet, which you can get some premium luxury resorts to be booked out there. And if you want experience traveling for yourself, then Collection O offers booking and renting services to business travelers. Business travelers have certain different needs because they need conference rooms also, they need meeting rooms, they need business print, stationery, internet of a certain speed, right? So business travelers' need might be different because business traveler might to stay put in the hotel room or in the hotel lobby so as to do the meetings, whereas people who are going on vacations with family, they would not be staying much in hotel and they will be going out much more. So the needs of business travelers and the vacation travelers are different. They're catering to those demands and needs. Oyo Life targeted at millennials and young professionals in search of fully managed homes on long-term rentals. This is basically home provision also, wherein they get, it's beyond, little bit beyond the normal hostel life, but a managed kind of service department for young students and young professionals also, which are not too expensive, but yes, also not low scale as compared to the hostels. Yo Help is a self-help tool that offers support for check-ins, checkouts, and payments, and so many other things. So this is it for Oyo. This was the business, and obviously Oyo is also coming up. I think they will be coming up with their IPO very soon. There is a buzz around that. Right now, moving on to Udaan. Udaan, probably many of us might not have heard about it because Udaan is not into B2C kind of a model. It's not a consumer-driven platform. It is more into B2B platform. And Udaan was founded in India as a B2B, business-to-business e-commerce company. And it was founded by Flipkart veterans, Sujit Kumar, Amod Malviya, and Vaibhav Gupta. So these three people were very senior executives of Flipkart. Amod Malviya did a course in electrical engineering from IIT Kharagpur, and he went to work on for a couple of small companies. And then he was VP engineering at apnapaisa.com. Then he was the chief technological CTO of Flipkart. So he was the main man behind the technology of Flipkart. Then we have Vaibhav Gupta. He's in IIT, Delhi pass out. And then he did his MBA at Darden Graduate School of Business Administration and University of Virginia. And he worked at Trilogy Business Software, McKinsey, before moving to Flipkart, where he looked after finance operations. So you can see that even though he was an IIT, he was looking after the finance operations of Flipkart, and presently in Udaan also, he has more role towards finances. He is also the CFO. And he has been recently named as CEO of Udaan because they are also looking to come up with an IPO very soon. And Sujit Kumar also did his BTech from IIT Delhi and served as president of operations from Flipkart. So you can see there is a good mix. He's the chief technology officer. He knows about the finance operations. And Sujit Kumar is the president of operations, was the president of operations. So he is Amod Malviya. The person in the middle is Vaibhav Gupta, and the person on the right is Sujit Kumar. So you can see that whenever you are making a team, there have to be certain complementary skills which you can bring on table. Probably people with the same skill set might not be able to form a very good team, because ultimately if both the persons are doing the same thing, it might happen that something might be left. And for complementing those skills, you might have to hire people. But if the founding team itself has the right mix of skills and expertise which they need to run up and make a startup big, that makes a wonderful team. And that is what has happened with Udaan. Because Udaan started off under Hyperloop Technology Private Limited, which was registered in 2016, somewhere around August 2016. So if you can see, they have just completed 5 years. They have just completed 5 years in August 2021. Their main aim of starting business was to make goods reach to the remotest areas of the country, like Bhabua in Bihar, while working. Means this is something which they mention in their interviews and all. While working in Flipkart, they realized that although Flipkart had become very big, Flipkart's goods were reaching, means as an e-commerce platform, they were able to deliver to certain big cities or to certain suburban areas, but they were not able to deliver goods at the remotest of the locations in India. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to set up a company which can provide the retailers of those small towns and small villages with access to big kind of goods and products and brands, which can then reach the local consumers. So they wanted to set up that bridge between those small retailers and the wholesalers and the distributors of well-known brands. So that is how they came up with an idea of Udaan. In the first round of funding, within just 3 or 4 months of setting up their company, they raised $10 billion. And why people do ask us that why they are able to raise so much of funds within just a few months of setting up, whereas there are so many other people working for years and years and they are not able to raise funds. See, generally in the very initial rounds of startup funding, the investors are not looking at the business idea, or even if they are looking at the business idea, they are probably more looking at the capabilities of the founder who can execute and convert the idea into reality, right? So therefore you would see that IITs, IIMs, or even the chartered accountants, if they get into their own business, they are more likely to get funding in the initial rounds as compared to non-qualified professionals who are, even though they might have very good idea, but this is something because ultimately investor is putting their money at stake. So they want certain surety about what kind of business will take off. And a primary surety is that a person, if he has performed well in his education, they have proved that they are tough people by cracking these kind of tough exams and qualifying those exams, probably that makes better sense for them that yes, these are the people who can ride the difficulties and make the idea into a reality. Obviously, not every startup gets success, but yes, the probability of success is higher for the investors at that stage. So that happened. That was true for Udaan. They were 3 big shots of Flipkart. They had proven their ability by scaling up the business of Flipkart so much. And when they launched their own business, they were able to raise $10 million within just 3-4 months. Right, the Lightspeed Ventures led that funding round. Udaan became the fastest company to achieve unicorn status, valuation of $1 billion in just 26 months time. Means by November 2018, they were a unicorn. In February 2020, Udaan claimed itself to be valued at $7.5 billion as per its valuation report, becoming the 4th highest valued startup in India at that point of time. And obviously there are not much public information available because this is not a B2C business. Even the media glare is not that much on Udaan. Now, obviously, when they achieved the unicorn status in just 26 months, yes, there are a lot of interviews and certain media reports which came out, but not too much of material available in public domain about their valuation. Now, recently, as I mentioned, Vaibhav Gupta has been appointed as their CEO. And with the primary focus of bringing their IPO, because Vaibhav Gupta is expert in finances, he was looking after the finance operations, and they didn't have a CEO till very recently. He was appointed a CEO just a couple of months back. So you can see that without even having a CEO, CTO, or CEO kind of a position, they didn't have any positions in the company. They could achieve such a high valuation. And I would just in the next slide also tell you what were their kind of revenues. So I'll just come on to that, but let's first understand what is their business model. So we just understood that what is their journey, not too long of a journey, just 4 years out of that 1 year, 1.5 years has been in lockdown. So even then they are one of the fastest growing businesses in India. Udaan brings benefits of online commerce to manufacturers, traders, suppliers, wholesalers in smaller towns. Udaan is a B2B marketplace where manufacturers and wholesalers can sell their products easily to retailers with the help of an online platform or a mobile app like other e-commerce app. So Flipkart, Amazon, they are selling goods to consumers, whereas Udaan is a platform made for retailers. So retailers can go and connect with wholesalers and buy goods in bulk. Now, if you would see in Flipkart, Amazon, there is an MRP written and we don't have any say. We have to just either take it or leave it. It's just that kind of a thing. Whereas in Udaan, they provide a chat box between the wholesalers and the retailers, wherein if retailer has to negotiate he can just send a message to the wholesaler that, boss, if you can reduce this price to this much. Say for example, if wholesaler is selling 1,000 goods at 100 rupee of price, then retailer can go and say that please sell me 1,000 goods at 90 rupees or 95 rupees per price, per piece price. I'll pay you in cash, I'll pay you in advance, like those kind of things. Or please sell me at 95 rupees per piece, I'll order 2,000 quantity. So all those kind of space for negotiation is provided within this app in Udaan. So Udaan allows buyers and seller to have one-to-one discussions with each other to negotiate terms of their transactions, right? And Udaan platform allows users to gain access to new markets in India with low cost and reliable shipping and delivery services. Because once the transaction is conducted and done on their platform, they also provide logistics services so that the goods can reach from the wholesaler to that retailer. Ultimately, that was the problem, that the goods were not reaching to the far off location. So they have tried to solve that issue. For each buyer to make purchases of products sold on Udaan, they must meet the minimum order quantity or the minimum order value set by the seller. However, buyers may privately message sellers to negotiate a lower MOQ or MOV. As we just discussed, that there is a space for negotiation around that. Now, what is the primary source of income? Primary source of income for Udaan is commission income, because whenever the wholesaler and the retailer do their transaction, there is a transaction value and Udaan earns a commission income out of it. Udaan, as of now, predominantly operates in 3 verticals. One is food, which is staples, fruits, and vegetables. Second is non-foods, electronics, and fashion. And the third is pharmaceutical. So although the other big e-commerce aggregators are into 80 plus or 100 plus of categories, there are a lot of other services being provided. They have still not diversified too much, and they are focusing on these 3, because ultimately these 3 are the most fast moving goods, or the most consistently required goods or selling goods in the market. Then Udaan India also provides retailers and wholesalers with sufficient working capital loans at cost effective rates. They have recently got an NBFC license also. So now they are an NBFC, and because they know that what kind of retailer is ordering, they have their past data, they can evaluate it very easily, what kind of credit worthiness the person has. And on that basis, they can provide small working capital loans to the retailers, and it earns them an interest income as well. And the company also offers accounting, order management, and payment solutions to the merchant through their platform. So if you would see that retailers, small shop owners, they don't have too much of accounting or order management kind of facility which is available to them, and they are simplifying all those things and providing these facilities on the Udaan app itself. Now, Udaan registered a revenue of 225 crore rupees only in financial year 1920, and it was a 19-time jump for 11 crore rupees of revenue in 2018-19. So financial year 18, November 18 or October to 18 November was the time when they achieved the unicorn status. Unicorn status means the valuation of 7,500 crore or more than 7,000 crore at that point of time, right? So you would wonder that how come a company with just a turnover of 11 crore rupees gain and achieve a valuation of $1 billion. And that is something which is shown in the jump in revenue in the next year itself. It is a 19-time jump in just 1 year. And this is the data which is available in public domain for 1920. And we don't even know what would happen in 2021, what would have happened and what would happen in just next 2 to 3 years. They can just, if the kind of growth continues, they can very easily go to 1,000 crores and 2,000 crores of turnover, which Zomato and Paytm are still, after 10 years or 12 years of operation, they are still at that kind of stage. So as I mentioned, that startup valuation does not work on the old traditional fundamentals of valuation. There are absolutely different parameters on which an investor can put their money in. They just want to have a look into the future. They want to know what is the future like. And if they get hold of what you are trying to project or what you are trying to present, they can give you the value you want. So that is how it works. Udaan, as of now, that this is what I had to say about Udaan. Let's come on to the last startup which we will discuss today, is Zomato, recently listed one. We all saw that it had a listing which topped its market cap to more than 1 lakh crore rupees at a very, very nominal, means in terms of the kind of valuation which it has, the revenues are minuscule. We'll just discuss it, but let's just see what was the journey like. It was started by Deepinder Goyal in 2008. The company was named as Foodie Bay. It was when it was started by Deepinder Goyal and Pankaj Chadda, the two co-founders. This is also a Delhi NCR based startup. Deepinder graduated in mathematics and computing degree from IIT Delhi. So if you'd see almost every person, whatever field they are in, either Zomato, which is a food delivery app, Paytm, which is a payment banking, means it's now into financial services, or the Flipkart, which is an e-commerce delivery platform, right? They're selling goods, or they're allowing people to sell goods on their platform. So they're all technology people because they have digitized the way of doing business. And he hails from Muktsar in Punjab originally. Deepinder worked as management consultant with Bain and Company, one of the leading management consultant firms. It was at Bain that Deepinder conceived the idea of an online restaurant information service after seeing the demand for menu cards among his colleagues. So if you would remember that time, the corporate culture had just kicked in the mid 2000s, and people were very eager to eat out or call for food from restaurants out in their offices. Late night workings were a norm. Still is. It still was before the lockdown period very much. And people used to, scout for the restaurants near them. So he found that there is an opportunity. Why can't I just list down the information about the restaurants on a website and provide their menu cards online, rather than having copies of menu cards in each office and each person trying to find where the menu card is there right now, right? So he left Bain in 2008 to start Zomato. At that point of time, it was named as Foodie Bay, out of his apartment, and has since overseen the strategy and product development. Pankaj, the person, he was the co-founder of Zomato. He also was an IIT Delhi alumni. He graduated in 2007. Pankaj was a colleague of Deepinder and Bain and Company. So there was certain connection, probably may not be the family connection, but yes, they were connected. They gelled together, the co-founders generally, and there they started their journey together. Zomato was founded as Foodie Bay, as I mentioned, in 2008, and it was renamed as Zomato in January 2010 to Zomato Media Private Limited, because they were providing information about restaurants. In 2011, it expanded across India to Delhi NCR, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Pune, Kolkata. Means they were providing the information about restaurants in all these cities. In 2012, it expanded operations internationally in several countries, including UAE, Sri Lanka, Qatar, UK, Philippines, and South Africa. And in 2013, it expanded more outside of India. It expanded to New Zealand, Turkey, Brazil, Indonesia, with websites and apps available in foreign languages, in Turkish, Portuguese, Indonesian, and English language. Because what they had to do, they had to provide names of the restaurants, location of the restaurants, and the menu which they used to have. So it was always easy for the local people internationally to read the menu cards in their local language. Probably in India we have most of the restaurants publishing their menu cards in English, but internationally it doesn't happen like this. They have their menu cards and the information available in their own language, and therefore, even though we do not find probably many apps offering Hindi services right now, but they had to go local. In other countries, they had to provide services in the local language, right? So they modified and kept on moving towards that goal. In 2014, it launched in Portugal, which was followed by launches in Canada, Lebanon, and Ireland in 2015. So you can see that within just 4 and 5 years of their launch, they had expanded exponentially in international markets. In 2019, the firm acquired Seattle-based food portal Urban Spoon, which led the firm's entry into United States and Australia. The US expansion brought Zomato into direct competition with similar models such as Yelp and Foursquare. So the expansion was quite obvious, and obviously during that phase, during this particular phase itself, when they were faced with competition from Swiggy, Food Panda, Uber Eats, and all those kind of platforms which were delivering food at the doorstep, Zomato also transformed from just a listing platform to a food delivery platform. Right. So all startups have to go through that journey of transformation. They have to probably either entirely transform from their earlier model, or they have to add on certain capabilities so as to meet the competition requirements. Right. On January 20, in January 2020, Zomato acquired its rival Uber Eats. So they acquired Uber Eats, and if you would remember, Ola had acquired Food Panda. So these cab companies were trying to expand into food delivery business because they were having so much of network of cabs and delivery people. So they thought that along with delivery, the passengers traveling in the cab, the drivers can also get the food and deliver it to the person who is requiring it. But Uber Eats, which is a very, very successful model in US, didn't fly at all in India. So different regions, different markets can throw different challenges. Uber Eats, if you still look at the financial statements of Uber in US, it is one of the major contributors of their revenues. And in fact, Uber is contributing more to the profits of Uber, but in India, they were absolutely non-successful with this model, and they had to ultimately sell it to Zomato in an all equity swap deal, wherein Uber now has 10% of stake in the combined business. In April 2020, due to rising demand of online groceries amid COVID-19, it launched grocery delivery named as Zomato, services named Zomato Market in 80 plus cities in India. Zomato introduced contactless dining to get ready for post-lockdown world by eliminating use of high-touch elements such as menu, ordering, and bill payment through barcodes or the app. Now, if you would go to a McDonald's restaurant also, they have put up very small barcodes on or the QR codes on their tables, and you will find their staff guiding you that you can just scan the QR code and the menu will appear on your mobile phone. So those kind of technologies are being now placed with the restaurant partners through Zomato, that you can just digitize your menu. You don't need to have to place physical menu on the table. You can just put the barcode, the QR code on your table, which can be scanned, and the entire menu will come on the mobile phone. So this is how technology is taking over. The bill payment can also be made electronically. In May 2020, Zomato further laid off, although their business was not, I would say, hampered. It was hampered, but they were adding up different service lines. And because ultimately the restaurants were not open, they had to lay off 520 people due to COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the fact that demand for services delivering food from restaurants and takeaway had surged. And if you would see that, although people were not going to restaurants, and that's why the people starting ordering more on online platforms, just like Zomato and Swiggy. So even though the revenue had started picking up, it was in fact gaining more momentum, but still in order to save costs for a later post-pandemic kind of period, they laid off 520 employees. So although they had to manage the revenues, they were building upon their revenues in order to be more business prudent. they try to save costs. On June 29, 2021, Zomato signed a deal with Grofers to invest nearly 120 million in online grocery firm, acquiring 9.3% stake. So now they have expanded into grocery deliveries because they are delivering food. Ultimately, once they have riders to deliver food, they can also deliver groceries. So that's why it's an automatic pick for them to expand their business into. Now, Zomato predominantly generates its revenue from commission because ultimately restaurants are selling, consumers are buying, and with their delivery, they charge certain fee for the delivery and the commission out of the transaction made through their app. They also have advertisement, subscription, and sale of traded goods and other platform services. So this is where they generate their revenue from. In the financial year 2021, the company reported revenues from operations of nearly 2,000 crore rupees, which was a drop of almost 600 crores as compared to financial year 1920. And for obvious reason, this was because of COVID. But even though there was a significant drop in the revenues, they cut down their losses significantly to 816 crore rupees in financial year 2021 as compared to more than 2,300 crore rupees in financial year 1920. So you can see there was a drop of, they saved cost almost to the tune of 1,500 crore rupees. So that is how they are reducing upon their losses. So you can see, I was telling you that revenues are just in the range of 2,000 crore rupees, whereas the valuation is more than 1 lakh crore or around 1 lakh crore rupees. So almost it's not on PE ratio. So price to earnings are in negative. So if you would go and see price to earning, there is nothing to see, but they are still earning a value over their business model, over the potential they have, right? So this is what they have as of now. It is a listed company in India with a very, very successful IPO, which they launched at a price of almost 72 rupees. Now it is trading around 131 or 132 with, it has already seen the levels of 150 rupees, almost double the price at which it was listed. So this is it from my side. This is the business, and Zomato is a listed company. You can download the financials from investors relation page, and you can see that obviously the traditional methods of valuing a company or a business stock is not something which will work with these new age startups. So this is it. I'm done with the 5 Indian startups as of now. So I would be much more happy to take queries. So if participants do have queries, they can write in the chat box, or the support team can help me with the queries. Sambit. Hello. Sambit, are you there? Sure. Okay, so Shant Kumarji, BR Shant Kumarji is asking, I would like to know how the valuation for the proposed issue of shares are made at such high values. Is it based on the future profits likely to be made? I would not say that it is absolutely based on the future profits to be made, but yes, ultimately profit making has to be seen. But at this point of time, the valuation is generally made at the kind of data which are they are generating, the kind of user base they have, because user base and the downloads which has happened on a particular app or the kind of people who are using their services also has its own value, because that kind of usage can generate future revenues, future potential for profit. And there is always, because if I was hearing Vijay Shekhar Sharma of Paytm, I think today morning on one of the business news channels, wherein he was being interviewed for the forthcoming IPO. And he mentioned that we don't know, we don't have any forecast about profits in our red herring prospectus. And we don't want to give any false recommendations. But yes, he was very sure that profits will come. We have a very strong business model. We are reducing our costs. But obviously, for obvious reason, you can't amplify your earnings, because as a financial prudence, always the losses are recognized at the earliest stage, whereas the profits are, not recognized as and when, or not forecasted as and when you till the time you have a reasonable certainty of earning those profits. So there are various parameters about the kind of user base, the revenues which they are generating, the potential revenues they can generate in future. Those are the parameters for valuation, and obviously not the earnings. So next query. A presentation I'll share the presentation. Sir, to my mind, there is no valuation methodology as on date. As on date, it's just the gut feeling that yes, whether you have a strong reason to say whether you should purchase these shares or not. If you would see, I have heard many experts saying that Paytm should not be applied for. And in fact, at that point of time when the Zomato IPO was about to be listed, there were many experts who were saying that no, this is a loss-making company, we should not go for it, or probably we should wait and watch for the listing to happen. And there were many people who were saying that at 60,000 crore rupees of valuation, it is very highly priced. And you can see that the retail market, when it responded to the IPO, it has not yet gone to its offer price, which was there. So the markets play at a very different level. Even if you can see Tata Motors, which is a traditional business, which is not a startup, but if you would go and try to buy this stock on your broker, if you have an online broking app, then you would see that there is a message which pops up which says that this company has not earned profit in last 3 years, and whether you want to buy it or not. So as on date, the valuation is very different. It goes by the market forces, the people who are willing to invest, what kind of value they are ready to pay for having this share in their kitty. And the traditional models of valuation are absolutely nowhere close to predicting what value they should have. So that is what my take is. Valuation for these startups who are going to get listed, it's very difficult. It's just a gut feeling, a kind of insight into the business model. I would say that you should look at what is their business model, what is their revenue model, what they are projecting about increasing the revenues. As I heard of Paytm's founder, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, is saying that my cost of bringing a new customer to the platform is going down day by day. So the kind of money I used to spend 5 years back for acquiring a new customer is not the kind of money I'm spending now. So this money which I'm saving will ultimately add up to my profits at a later point of time. And as soon as I'm able to get the customer easily to my platform, that is how I will make money. Similarly, the Policy Bazaar CEO was also there. The co-founder, one of the co-founders was also on that business channel. And he also mentioned that to sell insurance, it is very difficult on an online platform. Person has to go, if you would see their advertisement, they are just inducing people to buy insurance, that pagal mat bano, insurance karwao, ye karo, wo karo. So they have to induce. They are saying that insurance is not a necessity. It is something which we have to induce people to buy. Whereas Paisa Bazaar is also one of their group companies. And they say that we don't have to sell Paisa Bazaar. People come by their own. So the kind of business Paisa Bazaar is generating, or the kind of footfall which Paisa Bazaar is seeing, is much, much greater than Policy Bazaar, which is an older business as compared to Paisa Bazaar. So the kind of customer acquisition cost, whether it is reducing or not, whether they are into net cash operating profits, if you would see the cash flow, whether they are spending too much on marketing, what kind of marketing cost they are incurring, because over a period of time, marketing cost will go down gradually, right? Because once more and more people are used to using these apps, probably you'll not have to advertise in such quantity or such volume as they're advertising right now. So that is how probably you can form your view, right? So any other question?
No other questions.
Good, sir. So I think we can close the session now.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. We'd like to thank our speaker, CA Anshul Singhal, for enlightening us with his knowledge. Today's session gave us deep insight into the topic and also revealed some interesting facts. The point where we are hopeful that the knowledge that CA Anshul Singhal gave us will definitely help us in our future endeavor. Once again, we'd like to thank CA Anshul for taking out time from his busy schedule and enlightening us with his knowledge. Thank you so much, sir. Also, thank you to all the participants present here for paying their attention and learning. With this, we conclude this virtual CPE meeting. Thank you to all.